Hi, my name is Cindy Gfeller, and I'm presenting Module 3, the Special Education Interview. The three people I interviewed was a special education teacher from a district near ours. I also interviewed our school administrator and a paraprofessional that actually is in my classroom. I included this little quote, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has, by Margaret Mead. And just from these interview questions and how we're all working together to try to help every student. The first question I asked was tools and screening practices used to identify school readiness. The special education teacher, administrator, and paraprofessional all said that we use a countywide screening. It's by the Northwest Kansas Educational Service Center. And the special education teacher says they also, if parents have concerns, they contact the school or the service center, and we find the services that the child needs. In our district, the administrator talked about how we rely on classroom observations, teacher testing, and students are referred to our service center. The most challenging aspects of your role with regards to special education. The special education teacher said, of course, it's paperwork. She'd rather be working with students than filling out the paperwork. The administrator, he says sometimes just balancing the amount of time he spends with the special education students, how much they require with the amount of time we give regular education students, and making sure that he follows all the laws and regulations, which is what we really talked about in our last module, and he said that is one of his big concerns. Paraprofessional said with the student she's working with how just being told no. She understands why the child tells her no all the time, but says it just gets challenging and tiring and when the child refuses to work. Most rewarding part of the job when dealing with special education students, parents, and other teachers. Special education teacher, administrating paraprofessional, again, had very similar responses here, that they all love to help students. They like to see them happy and smile when they do something good or by themselves. And the special education teacher talked about knowing that she's made a difference in someone's life. And the administrator also said, talked about the teachers and how he likes to see teachers make progress. Advice on supervision of special education teachers, paras, speech pathologists, and other staff. The special education teacher says she just tries to keep communication lines open and to make sure they know what they're expected to do. And I think she was referring to paras there mainly. She said modeling is important and being flexible and help them when you can. Administrator says just really take time to research applicants before you hire them and try to hire the very best people. I do believe this has been an issue in our district, finding paraprofessionals that are good or who do stay at the job and year after year. We've had a big turnover, and I think that's what he was talking about. And paraprofessional says, stay calm and persevere. It will finally sink in. Effective practices when working with parents of students with special needs. The special education teacher and the paraprofessional teacher talked about communication, and paraprofessional talked about writing in a journal and how they tell she writes in there or the teacher writes in there how the day went, and also coming from home, the parent writes in the journal to let the school know what's going on in the child's life and what's going on, or if there's anything coming up or anything that they've said or that needs to be watching out for. The special education teacher also says that they know I want what is best for their child. And they know they can call or text me anytime. And she says that, when they know that and she's made a connection with them and they know she wants what's best, then they trust her and they are more willing to work with her. And she also tries to share success along the way, tell them when good things happen, and then they're more likely to hear other things that can happen. The administrator said that it can be a challenge sometimes to work with parents, and that sometimes the parents are just as unique as the students. So sometimes it takes good communication and trying to share a little positive and negative when we are talking with parents. Working with regular education teachers to support students with special needs. The special education teacher said she tries to get along and be flexible, and she says she tries to help in the classroom when possible, but depending on how many students she has and the schedule where she can get and whether she has help in that area, how much time she can spend in the classroom. And most teachers know they are our students and we want what is best for them. The administrator says he just tries to support them and sometimes just let them vent and have someone to talk to. And the paraprofessional said that the regular education teachers give her support and guidance and said that she works well with them. Advice for first-year administrators. Special education teachers said, listen, be supportive, help is needed. Administrator said, stay organized, don't take things personally. And the paraprofessional says, ask for help from older teachers, keep calm, be positive around the staff and students. I really liked this question because as a school administrator, I plan on taking all of this to heart. Listening, being supportive, stay organized. I do like organization. And not to take things personal, because usually, he talked about how they're just upset or frustrated because they want what's best for their child, but they're having difficulty and they just are upset about other things. And so they might lash out or say things, and just don't take it personally, because they things can be said and you just have to realize it's because of other aspects and it's not you personally. Role of principal in special education. Special education teacher said she just wants someone who helps as needed and be supportive and attend to those IEP meetings. Administrator to support everyone involved. So he says he does, and I know he does, attends the IEP meetings, and he does give support. Paraprofessional says making sure the special education teacher works with the classroom teacher. She thinks that everybody needs to work together to help the student. Describe role of special education teacher. The special education teacher that I interviewed said that a professional who wants all students to succeed and be the best they can be. The administrator says help the students and the classroom teacher. And the paraprofessional said a special education teacher should work with the teachers to get IEP students caught up with the other students. Characteristics in aspiring school administrators in regards to special education. There were several overlapping answers here. They all thought patience, be positive, be supportive, caring, treat everyone the same, which would be caring for everybody, understanding, teachers, special education teachers, paras, and the special education teacher said the administrator needs to be a leader in the class, in the district, and in special education. This is a question that I added. Biggest obstacle in helping children with special needs. Again, the special education teacher referred to paperwork, and she said time. Sometimes these students have poor attendance, and so then finding the time to work with them, plus even when they're there all the time with everything that is required to teach students and all the activities, finding time to spend with the kids. Also finding good paraprofessionals and that was something the administrator talked on earlier. Administrator said balancing between teacher and parent expectations and day-to-day obstacles. And we rely on service center personnel that may only be here once a week. The Northwest Kansas does provide all of the speech pathologist, behavior counselor, OT, so we do rely on their services. So sometimes that is kind of difficult to schedule meetings and to meet all those needs for the children. And paraprofessional says sometimes she feels burned out because she feels like she's teaching the same thing over and the child might not be catching on. My projection of the responsibilities of administrators when it comes to special education, administration, leadership, and supervision. As I reflection on the interviews, I do feel like there were several overlaps. I feel like I was familiar with a lot of their answers and realized that's probably how they thought, and some of the difficulties and what they expect from each other. I feel like there was an overall theme of communication, helping each other out, being there, supportive, being positive. My future role as administrator, I think I will take into heart many of the questions and suggestions they had for school administrators. And leadership in special education, I can see from so far what we have done that it is very important that an administrator takes a leadership role in special education, from laws to communication to working with and making sure the people in your district are all working together, paraprofessionals, special education teachers, just everybody working together to help the student, and good communication there. And so I think I've learned a lot from these interviews, and I feel like this was a beneficial project, and I hope that I can apply all these things that they had talked about to when I become a school administrator. Thank you very much.